Hey everyone, thanks for staying engaged. In this video we're going to make the game Cherry Picker. I'm going to start with a new project here. Call it Cherry Picker. Create. And you could follow along with this video, or you could look at the picture in your OneNote. This video will explain why we do some of the things in the picture, so it might be a little more helpful if you're getting stuck. Alright, so let's start off with sort of a title screen, or also known as a splash. I'm going to go into the game section here and grab the one called Splash and type in my title. Say Cherry Picker. Next I'm going to set up the background. I'm going to do that not with a background color, but with something called a tile map. I'll click on here, and I can go down here and grab different tiles and sort of paint them on here as if it were like a paintbrush. I can spend a long time setting this up to make something kind of cool. I'll go ahead and pause the video here for a second. Okay, I finished my tile map here. I'll go ahead and click Done. And then next I want to set up a character. So we'll go into Sprites. I'll bring out this first one, put it in here, and I'm going to name this sprite Agent. The name doesn't matter. You can name it whatever you want, but what does matter is that you keep that name consistent throughout this whole program. I'll talk more about that in a second, but first let's set up a character. You can draw your own if you'd like, or you can use one from the gallery. I'll use this girl here. It's done. Next I want to be able to move my character around, so I'll go into Controller. I'll say Move with buttons, and here's where I need to make sure my names are consistent. It is saying move my sprite. I need to tell it to move agent. You'll see this error will go away. Good. If I want to change the speed that it moves at, I can change these numbers here. I think I do want it to go a little faster than normal, so I'm going to bump this up to 150. That's the X speed, which is like the speed that it goes left and right. Second one is the Y speed, or the VY standing for velocity in the Y direction. I'll also bump that one up to 150. I'm going to go to Scene again, and then I want the camera to follow. Again, I want to match it with the name I gave my character. And if we look at this so far, if I go over here and play the game, you can see that the camera follows my character around. That's good. I want to have a countdown in this game. I'll have it start at the start of the game, and it's going to be for 60 seconds. This is going to be a 1-minute game. In this game, we're going to try to collect as many cherries as we can in 1 minute. Next, let's put our score to 0, so we'll start at 0 for score, and this is good for all the setup at the start of the game. Now let's do some code for how things will interact and happen during the game. So next I'll go into game here. I'm going to grab this one. It says on game update every 500 milliseconds. So what that means is we're going to have the game do something every half second. That's what 500 milliseconds is half a second. And every half of a second, I want the game to create a sprite. And I want that sprite, I'm going to give it a new name. I'm going to call it item. And this is going to be the cherry. Oh, there's my cherry right there. You'll notice that, move this over here out of the way, you'll notice that my agent is of kind player, and that's just sort of to organize what type of thing it is. I want to make sure that my cherry is not also of kind player. We're not controlling the cherry, it's not our character. So instead I'm going to set it to actually a new kind of item, a new kind, and I'm going to call it item. It's just a name for organizational purposes. It doesn't actually matter what the word is. Again, it just needs to be consistent with where we use it elsewhere in the game. Okay, so I've got it creating a cherry every half second, but we'll notice here, if we play the game, that the cherries are just appearing in one spot right here. You actually can't see it, but they're all just stacking on top of each other in one spot, and that's not very fun. We want them to kind of be all spread out all over the place. So let's fix that. Go to sprites, and I'm going to set the position of the item, so I'm matching it, I'm being consistent here, and I want it to be random. So if I go into math, there's a piece called pick random. I'm actually going to drop it in both the X one and in the Y spot. And if it's from 0 to 10 is a very small area, it's going to appear just in the corner up here. I'm going to change that. I don't really want it to be right on the edge of the screen, so I'm going to set the lower limit to 10, so about here, over to 160, which is way over on the other side of the screen. So it's going to pick a random X from about here to here. I'm going to do the same thing for Y, but you'll notice that the Y-axis is shorter than the X-axis here. So this will be slightly different. This will be 10 and 120. And now if I go play the game, I can see cherries appearing in a lot of different places. Now, I can't do anything with those cherries yet. I can't interact with them, so let's fix that. Make this game a little more fun. Next, let's go into sprites and scroll down until we see something in the overlap section. Grab this big piece here. And we want to say, when a sprite of the kind player, remember that's our player up here, overlaps with another sprite of kind, well, let's use the kind item here. What's going to happen when our player overlaps with an item? Well, first, we're going to give ourselves a point. I'm having it change the score by 1, meaning go up by 1 each time. So if I was at 2, I would go to 3. If I were at 3, I'd go to 4. It wouldn't just change it to 1. It changes it up by 1. The other thing I want to do is I want to get rid of that cherry when I step on it. You'll see that if I play the game right now, if I run around and grab and step on a cherry, I'm getting all these points and it's going up really fast, but the cherry's not going away. That's a problem. Let's make it so the cherry goes away when we step on it. So I'm going to go into sprites, and I'm going to grab this one called destroy. And now here's the trickiest part of this whole thing. We might be tempted to say destroy item, but that is not going to destroy specifically the one that we ran into. We might try and destroy just kind of a random one on the screen. So what I need to do is something kind of unintuitive here. I need to go grab this thing that says other sprite and drag it right into this spot right here. Boom, like that. Now if I play the game, I can run around, I get a point for every cherry I grab. This is working really well. Okay, my cat came for a visit. So, if you want to try making the next part on your own, I think that would be a really good challenge for you. I might pause the video here and try this challenge. So in your OneNote it says, add a second item that acts similar to the cherry, but instead of giving you points, it takes points away. Go try it. Don't wait for me to show you. Can you pause the video yet? Okay. Now let's pretend you're stuck and need some help. I'll help you out. Okay. So we want a bad item. One that will take away points. And it's actually going to be very similar to what we did here. I'm actually going to duplicate some things. So I'm going to right click on this and duplicate this part and bring it down here. And I'm going to change a few things. I'm going to give this a new name, also known as a new variable. I'm going to call it bad cherry. I'm going to change the picture. Let's make it just kind of very subtle. Let's make it like some cherry with like some gross stuff on it, some mold. Okay. And I want to give that a new kind. I can actually use one of the ones that's still here, that's already here. I'll call it enemy, because we don't want to touch these. It's kind of bad. Then I want to make sure that the names are consistent. I want to make sure bad cherry is being put in random positions on the map. This is set up pretty well. I could adjust the time if I wanted to make them appear less often. I kind of like that. I want there to be more good items than bad items. Then I'm going to duplicate this part too. And I'm going to say when the player overlaps with enemy, you'll notice it was faded out there. That's because I already had one of these, and only one of these of this particular kind can be happening at once, so I had to change it to a different type of overlap. I want to change my score by -1 here. So if I put change score by -1, my score will go down when I hit that bad cherry. And it's going to, again, destroy the other sprite. I can actually leave this exactly the same, and it will destroy the thing I overlap with. So let's give this one last try, make sure everything works. Oh, I see a bad cherry right there. Let me get a few points here. And I've got 6 points, 7 points, and now when I go touch it, I'm down to 6 points. It's working great. I could go touch these. It's going, bringing my score down. Sweet! I've got a working cherry picker. Thanks for watching, guys.